So the purpose of our video today is to consider validity and credibility when you are previewing or reading news stories. So I've taken 3 news stories that I read or viewed and given them the analysis of validity and credibility using the grid provided. So the themes of validity and credibility in this grid include looking at whether or not when the reporter is featuring this information, is the information independent versus self-interested? Is there multiple sources versus one source? Is there verification versus assertions? Is the information authoritative versus uninformed, so informed versus uninformed? And are your sources named versus unnamed? In addition, there's just an overall consideration. Is the information that's provided, the content, backed up by evidence? So the claims that the reporter is making has evidence, and also overall, does the story seem credible? So in our first story, we have a New York Times news story in regard to a tragic incident that has happened in Texas. So the title is Vicious Assault Strikes Texas Town, and this is March 8th, 2011. So in this report, the reporter is independently looking at this crime that occurred. And in fact, there is evidence that a crime has occurred, and he uses law enforcement sources in order to back up, that claim and the feature of this news story. So there's multiple sources, including community members, school district representative, police, photos, videos, and a local paper, the Houston Chronicle. So the reporter does certainly present this story as a devastating event, by all sources. Excuse me. And the police information is based on evidence and affidavits accompanied by photos and videos to verify information. Community members' commentary that's used by the reporter is more assertions, observations that they've had, opinions that they have, which would make sense because they are in fact community members. So next, in terms of the authoritative and informed view, you do have a school district representative that is authoritative and informing and chronicling events as they occurred. And, they became aware of this assault. They then turned it over to the police. And then this reporter, uses that police information to describe the events that happened. So what he does a really good job in is naming the sources. And so although neighbors and residents aren't, designated, the people that he uses to back up the information are. And so those are named sources. So in my opinion, the information available in this article for it to be composed is credible because it's law enforcement and public school, representation. The opinion-based content about the victim and where the crime occurred, is coming from neighbors and communities. So that's less credible. But I do believe it qualifies as news because it's a report on a crime that authorities have confirmed occurred and they're now investigating. The next story that we looked at was Walmart announces Great For You food labeling initiative. And this was the Walmart report on February 7th, 2012. The bottom line is that this is not news. This is one source of information offered. There's strictly opinion, and it's all in favor of the Walmart company. There's no verification of information, simply claims that the initiative will improve customers' lives. The information is delivered in an informed fashion, which, gives that illusion of expertise, but in fact, there is no backup with expertise, for the claims. This is entirely an internally produced report by the Walmart company, and they do disclose that at the conclusion of the video. So this story is not credible because there is no external review of assertions. There's no evidence, that this information is credible. It's just a glorified commercial for Walmart products. This is not news because it doesn't present valuable information to the audience. It's essentially advertising hidden in a news format. So, it definitely doesn't pass the test for validity and credibility. Finally, the third story looked at was the manhunt for Boston bombing suspect continues. And this was a CBS News report on April 19th, 2013. And the reporter is independent in his reporting of these incidences as they take place. This is a real-time story. Multiple sources are used, including police commissioners, state police, 911, hospital officials, Boston Police, City Transit. So the sources in the story are absolutely verifying the information as the situation unfolds. The information is informed, it's authoritative. The law enforcement are the main sources that are featured in the videos for the news story. There's a demonstration of their expertise and their composure when they're delivering the news. And all sources are named, with the exception of the reporter using hospital sources, which doesn't exactly define who that is. But the rest of the folks that are viewed in the videos are definitely credible and named. In my opinion, this story is definitely credible because it's compilations of videos happening in real time with law enforcement in an active investigation taking place as they pursue, a suspect. I definitely think it, meets the qualifications for validity and credibility. And it's, well done in terms of featuring the information at hand.